The ocean is a mysterious and dangerous place. People have found strange and sometimes frightening things in its depths, from ships that sank centuries ago to flying saucers and the ruins of lost civilization. Yonaguni Monument. Yonaguni Island is one such location, but this story is about something that lies beneath its waters. 37 years ago, Kihachiro Aratake, the director of the island's tourism association, was scouting for new diving sites when he discovered a surprising and precise stone formation at a depth of several meters. They strongly resembled buildings, perhaps even pyramids. One of them descended 26 meters to the seafloor and had quite even surfaces. After numerous dives, it was established that the central part was slightly over 40 meters tall, with a base measuring 180 by 150 meters. Beryllium research showed that the formation of the underwater city was completed at least 10,000 years ago. Therefore, this is when the sea flooded this part of the land and the monument, which coincides perfectly with scientists' estimates of past global sea level changes. Based on this, geologists estimate the age of the monument to be between 10,000 and 16,000 years old. At first, the Yonaguni Monument didn't attract much interest from the scientific community, and it was almost ignored by archaeologists. The first scientific expedition took place in 1997. You might think there's nothing interesting here, but you'd be wrong. Many scientists are still debating whether the underwater city has a completely natural origin, or if it has some artificial origins. The truth is unknown. But what do you think? The spaceship. In 2012, a diving group in Sweden discovered a cylindrical object while exploring the Baltic Sea. The object's origin and purpose remain a mystery. Some people believe it is just a natural formation, while others call it the new Stonehenge. Others think it could be a small volcano or glacial deposit. After the discovery was made, ufologists suggested that it could be an extraterrestrial spacecraft, or a UFO. Some people find this theory plausible because the object resembles the Millennium Falcon from Star Wars. However, some think this is just wishful thinking, based on too much TV watching. Share your thoughts on this in the comments. The oldest computer. In 1901, the Antikythera Mechanism was recovered from a sunken ship. Scientists believe it was first used in 178 BC, and it has a complex system of gears that display the date, position of the sun and moon, and predict eclipses. It is a unique analog computer that has not been seen for thousands of years. Scientists could only guess its purpose at first because it was too fragile for manual inspection. Advances in technology like 3D X-rays allowed them to see the inner workings of the machine. Apollo 11 engines. On July 20th, 1969, the first human foot touched the surface of the moon. 42 years later, an American billionaire funded an expedition to search for engines that were lost more than 4 decades ago. After 3 weeks of searching in the open ocean, American underwater archaeologists discovered 2 of the 5 engines from the rocket that carried the Apollo 11 crew into outer space in July 1969. The engines were discovered at a depth of 4 kilometers and were then raised to the surface. After lying underwater for more than 40 years, the engines were taken to Cape Canaveral, the main U.S. spaceport. Specialists began preparing them for exhibition as artifacts. The engines are undergoing anti-corrosion treatment and preservation. It is likely that the engines will eventually end up at the National Air and Space Museum, completing the legend of the American space program. The ruins of Atlat Yam. In search of amazing underwater attractions, many travelers visit Israel. One of the oldest sunken cities on the planet can be found here. The age of the remains of Atlat Yam is at least 9,000 years, according to modern scientists. The ruins are located near the coast of Haifa. Thousands of years ago, they were a large and prosperous village, as scientists have discovered. The unique seabed near Haifa has allowed the ancient structures to be remarkably well preserved. The preservation of the sunken city is so good that researchers have found a fully intact ancient cemetery and discovered insects that once plagued villagers thousands of years ago in the remains of residential buildings. The mystery of Atlit Yam's ruins remains the reason for its submersion. Many researchers support the theory that the village went underwater due to melting glaciers and the expansion of the oceans. Others support the idea of a sudden tsunami. Given that this underwater discovery was only made in 1984, research is still in its early stages and scientists have more important discoveries to make. However, the most impressive finding was the pit, which seems to be a ritual site. Scientists also found over 60 human burials. One might think these remains are useless and worthless, but that's not the case. These findings revealed some of the earliest cases of tuberculosis, which could greatly impact the history of medicine. Additionally, near the settlement, bones of both wild and domestic animals were found. The ancient ship. At the bottom of the Black Sea, researchers have discovered the remains of a ship that sunk about 2,400 years ago. This remarkable discovery shows that even in ancient times, maritime transport in this region was highly active. The ship, loaded with amphorae, ancient Greek ceramic containers used for transporting liquids, bulk goods, and food, sank in the 4th century BC. During this time, ancient Greece experienced a flourishing economy and culture. Inside one of the amphorae, bones of a large freshwater fish were found. The fish was dried and cut into pieces, and fried catfish was popular in Greece at the time. Interestingly, research conducted by the Massachusetts Institute of Oceanography revealed that the catfish was caught between 488 and 228 BC. A group of American and Bulgarian scientists, led by oceanographer Robert Ballard, who previously discovered the Titanic, has reported that the ship is located at a depth of approximately 100 meters off the Bulgarian coast, a few kilometers away. According to the researchers, the ancient Greeks sailed to the Black Sea in search of fish and gold. The Aegean Sea, while beautiful, is also sterile, with very few nutrients and therefore not a rich source of marine life. Atlantis Drive, Rainer Kuhne and Kuhr, a German scientist, claims to have found the location of Atlantis. He believes that it was not an island as commonly believed, but rather located on the coast of Spain. After studying satellite photographs of the area around the Andalusian city of Cadiz for a long time, he discovered traces of structures that could be ancient temples. Around 800 to 500 BC, this region was affected by a devastating flood that may have led to the legend of Atlantis sinking. Around the temple ruins, the archaeologists discovered partially preserved circular structures, which may have been the remains of canals or dikes radiating from a central island, as described by Plato. According to the scientist, the Silver Temple was dedicated to Poseidon, and the second Golden Temple was a palace temple built by Poseidon for his wife Clito. The circles are somewhat larger than those described by Plato, but the scientist believes that Plato may have deliberately reduced the dimensions of the island, or that the ancient Greek unit of measurement was about 20% greater than we currently assume. The Stonehenge of Lake Michigan. In addition to Stonehenge in Britain, there are other ancient stone monuments around the world. One such example is the Stonehenge of Lake Michigan, which has been featured in many photographs. Similar stone structures have been found all over the world. In 2007, for example, a team of underwater archaeologists used sonar to explore the bottom of Lake Michigan and discovered a series of stones arranged in a circle at a depth of 12 feet. On one of the stones, they found an engraved drawing that resembled the outline of a mastodon, an extinct animal that lived about 10,000 years ago. This discovery is consistent with the idea of an ancient Stonehenge, as scientists have already found similar structures in the area. The strange structure. Another example of a strange structure was discovered in a Canadian lake during a unique underwater project in 2005, where divers found traces of the ancient inhabitants of Western Canada. They found a curious stone structure in Lake McDonald, Ontario, Canada, at a depth of about 12 feet. The structure consisted of an elongated piece of stone weighing about 450 kilograms with a flat surface. It rested on 7 stones, each the size of a baseball bat, which in turn stood on a slab weighing about a ton. Initially, it was thought to be a natural formation, but after geologists and archaeologists examined images of the site, they determined that it was man-made. These objects, known as seeds, are known to scientists. They are used for worship by northern peoples, particularly those in northern Russia.